Welcome to the NorthLakes Podcast, where I bring in guests to help break down topics related to your health so that you know just a little bit more, and have access to tools and resources to dig a little deeper if you'd like. NorthLakes Podcast is hosted by me, Jeremy Oswald, with guests from the NorthLakes team. Today on the NorthLakes Podcast, we welcome Jordan Oien. Jordan is a chiropractor at NorthLakes Community Clinic, Turtle Lake. Sports fatigue and wear and tear in college pointed him towards seeing a chiropractor for the first time, and he immediately was drawn to it. In this episode of the NorthLakes Podcast, we talk about how chiropractic care can be good for everyone, what it is, and the fact that Jordan knows how to run an x-ray machine. Welcome to the NorthLakes Podcast. Jordan, how are you? Thank you for being here.
I am doing great. How are you?
What is your background? What were your studies, and how did you become a chiropractor?
Okay, so, originally when I went to college just to play football. So, and then as I continued throughout my college career in football, you have to declare majors and stuff like that. So I was most interested in exercise science, anatomy, and stuff like that. So I just decided that, well, I like it. I have to go to class. I might as well do something along that lines. It turned out I was pretty good at that part of school, and I got some pretty decent grades. So I explored that more, and I ended up majoring in exercise science with a medical emphasis in chemistry. And then I always had low back issues when I was young, and since I was a little kid, I had low back issues all the time, and go to see the doctor for it. Not much help. Seen physical therapy, not much help. Tried different things with the trainers, some stretching, some modalities, all kinds of stuff. And it just kept happening and kept happening. My low back would lock up, couldn't move, couldn't play, couldn't get down on my stance, nothing. So then somebody mentioned, well, why don't you try to go and see a chiropractor? And I had never thought of it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll make an appointment. And so I seen this chiropractor. I explained what was going on with me. And he just looks at me. He's like, oh, I can fix that. And it's like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, how could you possibly, fix that? So then he lays me down and just, crunches me, boom, boom. And he's like, all right, stand up. I'm like, I want you, get in your stance. And I'm like, instantly, like, more range of motion, more flexibility, no pain. And I was amazed. And then he adjusted the rest of me, which you don't know how screwed up you are until somebody lays hands on you. And then I felt so good walking out of there that I knew right after that first appointment, I knew that that's what I wanted to give to other people. So then I started, exploring different options for chiro schools and what I needed to get into the schools, and applied to one school that was Northwestern. It happens to be one of the top chiropractic schools. So shout out Northwestern. And here we are.
Huh.
Led me here.
And so what are some stereotypes that you've heard about chiropractic, or what do you think is some of the misconceptions people have about chiropractic care?
Probably the biggest one and the most frustrating one to deal with is the stigma of once you see a chiropractor, you have to keep going and seeing him. You have to see him for the rest of your life. Well, people don't take into consideration the normal physiological processes of healing. It takes time. The other thing too is, and this is the best way that I've had it explained to me, was when you have like a degenerative condition of your low back, like a degenerative disc or arthritis or scoliosis or something like that, it's no different than a chronic condition in any other part of the body. Using diabetes, for example, if you're diabetic, you have a chronic condition that needs to be managed over time. You have to wake up every morning, you have to check your blood glucose, you have to watch what you eat throughout the day, and you have to see your MD or your medical provider periodically to have your eyes checked, your feet checked, they check your glucose, they check your A1C, they make sure everything is going well. No different than when you have a degenerative condition in your low back, let's say, degenerative disc. You have to wake up every morning, you have to do some stretches, you have to watch how you move, you have to watch what you lift throughout the day, and you should see your chiropractor periodically to check and make sure that those conditions aren't progressing, making sure that everything is moving properly and healthy.
So one is that, once you go, you're in. Once you walk down that road, you'll never walk away from your chiropractor. You got to go every week.
Well, yeah, and there should be an end game with, like, when a person comes in like with an acute or even a chronic problem, like there should be an end game. Like, I want to treat you frequently until I get your symptoms under control, and then I want to taper that down so eventually you don't need to see me. So you're not dependent on me to be able to function. I want your body to be able to function on its own.
And is it just for people with bad backs? Is that it?
Oh, no.
I mean, like, you know, like that's another, would you say that's another stereotype? Like, that's it, you know, like you got a bad back, that's what they do.
No, I think if you got a spine, you should see a chiropractor. It's no different than if you got a mouthful of teeth, you need to see a dentist. Neck pain, back pain, headaches, that's kind of the bread and butter for chiropractic. And, you know, within our scope of practice is primarily neuromusculoskeletal conditions, but there is the whole chiropractic lifestyle, if that makes sense. So the big part that differs from a lot of other care is preventative care. So it is good for you. It's like drinking water. You know, if it's good for you, why wouldn't you want to do it? And there's the whole like nutritional side. There's the whole exercise side. It's just like overall full body wellness is that's the chiropractic approach.
So what's an adjustment? Like, you always hear like, I have to go to the chiropractor, and you already just mentioned this adjustment. Like, what does that mean? What is an adjustment?
So the adjustment it's a precise maneuver, in short, to restore biomechanical function of your spine or any other joint, really. So when you see a chiropractor, they're going to be evaluating the joint complexes. Okay, and that's your joints, that's your muscles, that's your nerves, that's the soft tissues around it, and any other thing. So when I'm looking at, like, for instance, like if I was looking at your low back, I want to see how that thing moves, and I want to see how it's positioned. Okay, and we spend a whole lot of time in school, figuring out where it should be and how it should move. So it's super easy to figure out, okay, it's not moving in this particular plane of motion. So then that's where we go in with an adjustment, and it can be by hand or it can be using an instrument, and it's a high velocity, low amplitude thrust in whatever plane of motion that there's a restriction to restore that complex and help it move and function better. Is it like the spine's kind of like the highway? You want to make sure the highway's straight? Yeah. I seen a good one the other day. It was there's like 4 billion neurons that go through the top cervical vertebrae. And the interesting thing is only about 18% of those nerve fibers feel pain. So if you have a pinched nerve, obviously the only way you're really knowing about it is if you have pain or some other weird symptom. But a lot of times people don't look at other symptoms as a chiropractic case, like ear infections, GERD, things like that.
It's so funny. We're talking and I feel like I need to sit up straighter.
Oh yeah.
It's like the moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's judging me.
I do that all the time. Like, I'll be sitting there doing my notes, talking about the patient's posture, and then I'm just sitting there I'm like, oh
yeah, time to straighten up.
Time to practice what I preach.
Well, yeah, please don't judge me, Jordan. What are you able to do here at NorthLakes for our patients that might differ from a private practice?
So in terms of what we're able to offer patients, doesn't change a whole lot between a private practice and NFQHC. The big thing is who we're able to offer it to. So this is probably my biggest passion about working here is the whole thing around healthcare inequality. So there's so many people that are just left in the dust because, healthcare and private practice, it's a business. You have to see people, you have to perform services to make money. And when you're looking at it just from a pure business perspective, not a provider, because as a provider, you're always going into it to help people. But if you're running a business, you have to have it in your mind that you want to be performing services that are going to get you the most money, and you want the patients that have either the means to pay or the insurance that are going to pay to have a successful business. So working here, it really eliminates all of that business side of it. I don't worry about it at all. But when you're looking at like a private practice, folks that don't have insurance, they can't afford the cash fees, or if they do have, for instance, Medicaid, they're limited with the number of visits. They only cover certain things and they don't pay anything. So a lot of times, and it's so unfortunate, it really bugs me that these patients, they get just left out in the dust. When I first started in chiropractic, you're talking about who you want to market to and things like that. And I had this idea, well, let's like, they've got this whole crowd. Like these people need care. Like these are the ones that have the chronic pain. These are the people that are struggling. We need to help them. And you get answers like, they don't pay anything. Why would you want to spend time and resources when they don't pay? And I just like, that is so like fundamentally wrong to me. Like it's such crap.
Right. So, and that's what we are. I mean, we're a community health center. So one of the things I learned, like the fact that, a Medicaid patient can come see you, like that, it's covered by Medicaid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's incredible, really. So, I mean, Medicaid patients, I mean, it depends on the chiropractic practice. They might take Medicaid, they might not. Okay. But so, and this is some of my favorite stories, and it happens over and over again, is you got patients who before, when they were in private practice, they would come in with their Medicaid and they would have to stretch out those 20 visits that they get and just limp along, basically, just to come in and being seen every other week or every 3 weeks, just so that they can be in some sort of tolerance. They're still always hurting. Mm-hmm. But when so now we're at NorthLakes and we've got that sliding fee scale, it basically eliminates a lot of those barriers for folks. So now like they can come in, they don't have to worry about if it's covered or not, because it is with the slide, and they can be seen as often as they need to. They can get as many services as they need to and actually get somewhere. They can actually get some traction in their health. And it's been really interesting seeing people, like they start out on slide A, and then you see them for a year and they're feeling better mentally and physically. They're more productive. They come rolling in a nicer vehicle, and they're super happy to come and tell you that they've moved up in the slide and now they got to pay a little bit for their services. They're so proud to be able to tell you that. And it's like, they won't be able to get that anywhere else. Like that the model it doesn't exist for those people right now.
And so for a lot of the people in private practice, it's the finance that's driving the care, not the care that's driving the care. If that makes sense.
I'd hate to say that, but I think it would be, I mean, it wouldn't be realistic to say that that's not a piece to the puzzle. I mean, if you're running a business, you have to make money, but those people, all those left behind people, I mean, Medicaid doesn't cover certain services that they might need, and they don't cover it as often as they probably need it. They're just left in the dust, So it makes me feel really good that I can be a part of something like NorthLakes, to be able to care for those left behind people and make sure that they get exactly what they need and how much they need it.
And how they can come to this clinic, and there's a dentist here, there's behavioral health, and come to see you. I mean, it's like they could on one day. Bang all that out.
one shop stop, and that's been big too, because like for a patient that's coming in for chiro and they got chronic pain, and they just have struggles all in every part of their life, and then how much does mental health play into that chronic pain, or vice versa? Now they can come and see a therapist, or I see a lot of patients that have, jaw pain and things like that. And you ask, questions, well, do you have a dentist? Like, yeah, well, I have a dentist, but they won't take my insurance. And I was like, guess what we do? Mm-hmm. So you need to schedule with one of our dentists and we'll get you taken care of.
Have you found this, and I'm just guessing here, that there's somebody that might be more apt to go to a chiropractor? That's their thing. But they would never think of seeing a behavioral health therapist, or don't feel like they need to go to a dentist. Have you had moments where you're able to kind of drop the hint, like, hey, this person's down the hall, maybe you might want to see them as well?
Mm-hmm. There's a whole group of people that, either they want to be as naturally as possible, or they don't like doctors for whatever reason. They come in and see a chiropractor. They come in and see me, you end up building a trusting relationship with them. And then you can start saying like, hey, like there are things that you have going on with your health that I can't help you with. We have people that can help you with that. And I trust them. I know you trust me. You should really go and try to see them. And it's been life-changing for a couple of people. Like I've had people crying to me in my office about different things, and I'm trying like, hey, like there's no like pride issue here. You don't have to feel ashamed to go talk to a therapist. They're not a shrink. You're not crazy. They can help you with this a lot better than I can.
I love that you just said trust. Like that's not like huge. Somebody, like, you're not going to do that on the first appointment, mm-hmm. but by the whatever down the road in their treatment, they like, oh, Jordan's a good guy, like, and then you have that relationship, you're able to do that.
That's huge. That's I mean, that's one of the most important things to me in healthcare is you have to develop trusting relationships with people. You know, it's like I feel super responsible, almost maybe like, yeah, you know, you wonder like, am I getting too involved with, you know, with people, and you're taking in a lot of that stress. But it's like with these people, I think they get taken advantage of, they get brushed under the rug, they get passed along from person to person to person. And I feel like it's my responsibility to do whatever I can, which is a chiropractor, it's tough sledding, but to do whatever I can to help these people. If I got to send them to 3-4 different doctors to get an answer, that's what I do. And I take a beating the whole way. It sucks, but it's just it's just one of those things where sometimes I might not even help a person really, but they keep coming back for all these random things just because they trust me, and they say like this is not helping me as much as I thought it was. Like, I do have some relief, but I've tried to go everywhere else and they don't care and they don't listen to me. You care and listen to me. You know, and it's kind of heartbreaking to hear that, in a way, that knowing that people get treated that way in healthcare. It sucks.
But sounds like you do have relationships with other other providers outside of NorthLakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have several different providers in your pocket, and being able to efficiently and effectively refer a patient that needs additional care or different care than what you can provide. I have a lot, patients that, for example, I had a patient that came in for low back pain. Low back was really bugging them, and then for some reason it was like they had a big tick. So it's like,
this might be it.
I'm not the right place for this. So this is definitely infected. You need to go and see. Do you have a primary care provider? And a lot of it's interesting. A lot of them say no. Like, I don't have anybody. I don't know who to go to. And it's like, I got a few. What town do you want to go to? Like, go see, so and so. And then they go there, and it's like, oh, Dr. Jordan sent me. And it's like, well, I'll take care of you.
Huh. When should someone consider seeing a chiropractor? You kind of did. I think I know what your answer is going to be, but
yeah.
What might be a trigger, or what's a good motivation for someone to come see you?
The most simple way to put it is, if you are in pain, you should consider seeing a chiropractor. Okay, it's the whole non-pharmaceutical, non-surgical approach to healthcare. If you're in pain, you should see a chiropractor. Doesn't matter if
my stomach hurts.
If your stomach hurts, well, that's where the history and the exam come into play. So I need to figure out, well, why is your stomach hurting? And is the reason that your stomach is hurting, is that a chiropractic case or not? Because I've had people that have come in, with stomach problems with things, and that's what I tell them. It's like, okay, well, let's look at the neurology here. This is what the spine has to do with, and neurology has to do with your stomach, and this is how all that stuff works. This is where I'm going to be looking. And if I can find some problems there, I can probably help you. Okay, if I can't find problems in there, you need to go and see somebody else, or we have a plan in place where we're going to do a trial of care. We're gonna do X, Y, and Z and see if we can get some relief for you. If we can't, we gotta send you someplace else, kind of thing. But rarely do I have people come in specifically, like they won't come in to see me for a stomach ache. A lot of times, subsequently, I'll treat their back, and hey, my heartburn went away. I'm like, oh, great, Does that make sense? That makes sense to you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess that's I didn't mean to derail you with the stomach question, but it's just when someone's feeling pain, why not come see you? I've, my knee hurts, and I'm a grumpy man, I'm not going to, I don't need any help with this.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that I could that I can do with your knee, but it's figuring out what is going on with your knee, and is it a chiropractic case or not? Not everyone is a chiropractic case, but the whole other side of why you should see a chiropractor is the whole preventative piece, the wellness piece. So, if you nobody has a crystal ball and can look in the future, but if you knew someday, okay, you're going to have some low back problems because you have a degenerative disc and you have an arthritic degenerative arthritis going on in your low back, and if you knew that, well, if I would have taken better care of this when I was younger, would I have? So, I catch things all the time. It's like you see the discs are on their way down. You see people had a funny shaped joint, or they had an extra vertebrae, or they had scoliosis, and they didn't know it until they saw me and we x-rayed them and all this stuff. And it's like, now is the time to take care of this. If you take care of this now, and if you focus on the whole preventative side of things, when you're an old lady, you're going to be rocking and rolling. You're not going to be the hunched over old lady that has to sit down and watch everybody run around and play around you. You can actually go and do things and participate in things.
So do you have patients that it's kind of like an annual thing, like just getting like your, like your teeth checked or a regular schedule? Like, like I'm going in for my annual chiropractic exam.
I wouldn't say it's annual. I would say like
a regular, like there's a
regular.
time.
Oh, for sure. Yep. That month to 6 weeks is a sweet spot for a lot of people. Personally, I don't have a whole lot of issues. I have aches and pains here and there. My number's twice a month. I like to go and be seen twice a month, and that keeps things from coming, basically. But I do have patients that they call me when they need me. I'll see them every 3 months. They'll be functioning in gravity, and then all of a sudden their low back starts tightening up on them a little bit. They'll come see me. We'll work on them, and they see me soon enough. They didn't let it go on. They're good to go for another 3-4 months.
But are there, like, let's just say I have no problems. I have no back problems. Is that possible? Or I guess I was saying, like, like I go to the dentist once a year to just kind of have them take a look, see if I got any cavities. Yep, you're fine.
And are your teeth crystal clean every single time? No decay, no nothing.
Yes.
You think so?
No, of course not. That's what I guess I'm asking.
I've had people tell me that all the time. I mean, I have family members tell me that. It's like I don't have any pain. There's nothing wrong with my spine. It's like, well, let me get a hold of it. Not that I'm trying to make things hurt, but it's like, let me check your spine, and I will point. I bet like if I looked at your neck right now, I bet I wouldn't even get halfway down before I'd find a problem, and you would be like, oh, there's definitely a problem there that I didn't realize.
I'm so tempted to just have you do it.
we should.
No, next episode.
I won't treat you, but I mean, it would be like it'd be cool for you just to feel how your neck is moving, and you'll feel right away. I'll put my finger on it. It's like, that is tender, and I bet I could roll right over some tight muscles right over it. I can move it, and it's like, that's not moving as much as the other side, and you'd be surprised.
I don't think I would be surprised. There's not a doubt in my mind that you could help me out.
So it's one of the things. If you got a spine, just like if you got a mouthful of teeth, you should see a dentist. I think everybody should have a good medical provider. Everybody should have a therapist. If you got a spine, you should have a chiropractor.
One thing, I'm down. I'm not usually at this clinic. It's really nice to be in here, but the reason is had a groundbreaking ceremony today. Because we're expanding this clinic. But one of the things I was excited to hear is that there is going to be an X-ray machine here with the new expansion. How is that helpful to you?
Oh, that's going to be a game changer. So to see is to know. So most of the time we can get a pretty good idea of what's going on just from the history, just from the exam. But there's always those questionable cases, especially when trauma's involved. So not having X-ray, you have to guess more. But then you also have to take the time, like if you have a trauma and you need imaging before you continue to be able to rule out contraindications and all that other stuff, you're having to send them all over heck, and you don't know what the billing is going to be, and you don't know if they're going to be able to get in, if they're going to get the information back, or if they're even going to come back. So eliminating all that stuff, and you're that much more precise with your care. You have that much more insight on what to expect during the treatment plan, how the patient should feel, and it makes everything better when you can see exactly what's going on. And it's also very helpful for the patient, like when you're working on them and they're feeling pain, and they can actually visually see what you're talking about. Like, there's the misalignment, there's the disc that's coming down, here's an arthritic joint. They can see that and look, I need to take care of this. This is why I'm having pain. This is what I need to do to fix it. Let's do it.
And then to have it in house, they don't, as you were saying, they don't need to go down the road and right. It's just it'll be an extra. It'll save our patients a step.
Yeah, and things get lost in translation so often. So when I try to order a certain set of films, they won't take it the way that I would like it necessarily. Like, I want to see how your spine is looking when you're standing, when it's under gravity. And I want to see what your posture looks like when you're just standing normally. And a lot of times they'll take the X-rays when they're laying down, when the spine is decompressed, or when you might be laying a little bit funny, or if you ask for like an open mouth view, they might not. Well, I don't even know what that is. Or they take an open mouth view, but they don't show the structure. Where it's like, I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I can see it on the X-ray, and I can position it, and I can do whatever I need to do right there.
You're going to run it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You know how to do that?
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. So chiropractors, we spent a lot of time in radiology in school, just as part of the curriculum. And I believe that like if there's a chiropractic radiologist, I believe would only have to do 1 year of residency versus 2 of an MD. So we have that much more base radiological background.
So 2022, we'll have an X-ray machine here.
I'm super excited. It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jordan. One last question. What's in your car right now?
What's in my car?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of junk.
Anything specific?
I've got a football in the back. Gosh, I don't know. I got a broom that my wife tried to throw away in the back that I said, "Oh, hey, what if I need to sweep the sidewalk or something with?" And I have that hidden in my pickup, so I do that a lot. My wife tried to throw things away, and it's like, that's still good. Like, we'll just throw it in my pickup for the rainy day.
Hide it in there.
Yeah,
great. Well, thanks so much, Jordan. It's really it's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Jordan Oien is a chiropractor at NorthLakes Community Clinic, Turtle Lake. You can call that location to schedule an appointment with him. He would love to see you. NorthLakes also has chiropractic services at the clinics in Ashland, Hayward, Hurley, Iron River, Lakewood, and Park Falls. The expansion of the clinic in Turtle Lake will begin in early 2022 and is scheduled to be completed by the summer of 2022. It will almost double the size of that location. It started as a small storefront in Turtle Lake and is expanding to help serve more people in that community. You can learn more about some of the information that Jordan shared in the show notes that go along with this episode. Look on our website, nlccwi.org. NorthLakes is a community health center with locations in over a dozen communities throughout northern Wisconsin, offering a variety of services including medical, dental, behavioral health, recovery, pediatric, occupational and speech therapy, chiropractic, of course, nutrition therapy, optometry, health and wellness supports, and more. Our doors are open to all people regardless of insurance status or ability to pay. Our vision is healthy, prosperous, engaged communities where everyone thrives. Thanks for listening to the NorthLakes podcast. I'm Jeremy Oswald.